So this will be tutorial 5 on our R tutorial for machine learning and data science. And today we are going to be talking about working with data or importing data. And after now, I'm going to show you how to get free data right from R itself. So we are going to be looking at data formats like .data, .csv, .xlx, .xlxx, .txt. In fact, you can receive data in any format. The main thing is know how to convert it to what you want. We are going to look at functions like read.csv, read.table, read.delay, converting data formats, fixed method, and so on. So today we are going to solve a really complex problem that actually many people find it difficult to work with. So I'm going to show you the data that we are going to be working with. So sometimes you may receive data in these formats. So if you receive data, for instance, we have this auto.data and I did open with and I choose notepad, and this is how the data actually looks like. So you can receive data in any format if you are a data scientist. Being a data scientist, you should be able to manage how that data looks like. So the first thing you want to do when you receive data, I'm going to write it, is to try to view the data outside R. So the first thing you are going to do, I'm going to take this, try to view your data. And that is what we did just now. We opened this data with Notepad. So sometimes you may not see the notepad format, but you can see open with. So what you can do is, if you go to open with, you can just say choose another app, and at this point you can drop down and you can see different apps, and then the easiest one to select is notepad. And if you open the data in notepad, for sure it may not be exactly what we want. For instance, this is what we have. If I go here and say word map, it doesn't make any difference. So this is what we have. So how do we use this data in R? So let's try to see what we can do. So this data, one thing you can do, the first thing I recommend you do is to try to change the format. For instance, you can change it to CSV, try to change it, the extension, just change the extension from whatever it is to CSV. Just say yes, and now you can see it tries to appear like an Excel file. So let's open it and see if we have any luck. Again, it still doesn't make much sense, because you can see that all this data is just in one row. So you can see all the data is in one column, it's not separated in any way. So let's now go to R and try to read this data in. So I'm going to, in R, I'm going to use read.csv because I've changed it to .csv. So I can say, let's just call it my data. My data is able to read the CSV. So read.csv reads a CSV file, and now we've changed the extension to CSV. So specify the directory of the file. Now take note that R uses / and not \. So the file name is auto.csv. Okay, so now we've read this data, and this data is available in my data. So one way to view the data is actually to just type my data, and then you see what is in there. So you see, it doesn't really make any much sense, so I'm going to clear my screen. Another way to view this data is to use the fix commands. So we have this fix command. So just say fix and just say my data. Let's see. So now it comes out in a tabular form like this. So one thing you can notice is that everything is just in one column, right? So everything is just in one column. We want this to be separated: column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. And now it seems it to be quite difficult to do it in R. So what do we do? Incidentally, I'm going to teach you a trick in Excel that you can use to manage any kind of data you have, provided that you can view that data. So in Excel, the first thing you want to do is to open Excel and then use the import command in Excel. So let me show you how to do it. So just go to Excel. Okay, let's close this. So what we can do is to simply say home and go to data at this point, and what you can now go to is say from other source, from all, no, you say from test, yeah, from test. So let's repeat it again. So go to data and go to from test. So it opens this for you, all right? So what we are going to do now is to select the location of this data, and this data is actually in my drive D in a directory called data in this place. So auto.csv, it doesn't matter, just click the file you want. It can either be CSV, TXT, anything it is, just open it. So now it displays this test import wizard for us. So what you will do is to select the limb. Okay, so if you select the limb, it gives you an idea of what you are going to see, or what the importation will look like. All right, so let's go to next. So the limb means it's delimited. That is, the data is separated with something. So it can be separated with tab, semicolon, comma, space, and other. So if you look at the data, when we open this, it seems that this data, now I'm going to try to open it again with Notepad. It seems that the data there is separated with space because we can't see any comma. It's not comma separated, so it seems it's separated with space. Therefore, in this place, we are simply going to choose space. So choose space while you leave this tab selected. There's no problem. Now, in this place, it says text quantifier. If you look at the data, you find out that it contains both text and numbers. So let's open it. And the text inside this data is quantified, or is enclosed in double quotes. So you can see this present text. So it's a way to differentiate between text and numbers. So you're also going to tell Excel that some part of this data is text and some of them are numbers. So here we can tick this to say treat consecutive delimiters. Okay, not this. You can say text quantifier or qualifier has to be double quotes, which is what we saw in this file. It could be single quotes, but in this case we are using double quotes because that is what is in the file. So just go to next. And at this point you simply do not import column. So in this case, let's just leave it at general and then go to finish. Okay, as this new the same worksheet. Now you can see that it imports the file and separated it into exactly what we want. Okay, so let's now save it back to the same location, file, save as. And at this point, I'm going to still save it in my drive D, but it's going to be drive D. I'm going to save it auto. Let's say Excel. Just save it as an Excel file. Excel file is okay. So just leave it, give it a name and save it. So it saves it as an Excel file. So let's go to try to import it again in R to see what we have. So if I go now to import, remember if I press the up arrow, I get back commands that I already typed. So I'm going to enter the right extension, XLSX. I'm going to say enter, so it gives an error. So at this point, let's try to use another command. Let's try to use read.xl, right? So cannot find read.xl. Okay, that is fine. So what we are going to do now is to go back and save it as .csv. So I'm going to go back and save as. This time I'm going to save as .csv. So just go to save as file type and choose .csv. And I'm simply going to, maybe let's give it another name so that we'll see the difference between what we have and what we are using now. So save as .csv. Okay. Yes. All right, so I'm going to close this. Fine. All right, so everything is gone. I like to wipe my screen again. So now I'm going to read, in this case, I'm going to read auto.csv because that is the name we gave it. I think we gave it auto2.csv. Okay, see, auto2.csv. Okay, let's see. So I have my data now in auto2.csv. Now I'm going to use the fix command to actually view my data. So I imported this data and saved it into a variable called my data. And this my data is in a format called a data frame. We are going to talk a little bit about it at a different tutorial. So now you can see that everything is separated beautifully. You can see the column headers, MPEG. You can actually change it by clicking on it, but for now it's not necessary. So you can see everything is really very okay. So even from here, you can actually, I think you can actually copy everything with Control A. Okay, maybe not. All right, but here you can edit if you want. You can see you can edit, but that is not what we want to do. So what I actually wanted you to know is how to import data, play around with changing the format, use Excel to convert it from one format to the another, and then import it into R. I'm going to also say my data. So you can see it displays all this data now in a well formatted way. And finally, before I go, I'm going to just tell you how to check how many rows and how many columns is there. So simply say dim my data. So simply say dim, like dimension my data, and it tells you it contains 397 rows and 9 columns. So I'm going to stop here. I'd like to thank you for viewing, and I want to remind you to subscribe. Also, feel free to share it and let me know if there's something you would like me to do. In the next class, we now see how to import free data from inside R. So there are many free data sites we can use for work. I'm going to show you how to get all this data site for free.